So with the rise in costs to attend art school, particularly for animation school and art school, like SCAD costing $41,130, Ringling costing $77,320, and CalArts costing $86,101 per academic year, one may wonder if art school is even worth going to nowadays. So to be honest, I think the decision ultimately remains to every person's individual financial situation, and if getting a degree is necessary in their industry, not everyone can just afford going to art school, and not everyone can just pursue their career without a degree. So going to art school is ultimately a privilege that I'm aware that I've been able to reap the benefits of thanks to having a super supportive family, and I want to be able to pass that forward on to people who may not have that same opportunity. Ironically, while I would usually talk about some of the things I learned from art school that benefited my career, today I'm going to talk about unlearning what art school taught me to help save some time for those of you who have felt conflicted about these topics. These are based on my personal experiences because trust me, if I did manage to go to all the art schools and get all the data, I don't think I could ever financially recover from that.
Oh my God. I am never gonna financially recover from this.
So the goal of art school is to not only improve on your art skills, but to hopefully land you a career in the future, whether that be working full-time or becoming an entrepreneur. That's one thing I wished was presented a little bit more as an option, but it's also not like I would have known as a young college adult what I really wanted to do anyway until I got started. So the first thing I just have to put out there is how portfolios are done. From my experience, art portfolios are supposed to be straightforward, not included too many bells and whistles of art unrelated to the job you're going for, but oftentimes some teachers forget that not every student is trying to just land a job and might be trying to become a freelancer or business owner, which would require a little bit more of an elaborate website. So for Portfolio Week in CalArts, it's almost always reviews for industry related jobs, which is great because that's what the school is there for. While I did not know I would eventually embark on a more entrepreneurial position, looking back, I personally find the portfolio reviews to be very catered towards one career direction, which is fine in its own right. But what about the students who want to be future freelancers or entrepreneurs? Oh, what the? Who threw this pork bun at me? Porkbun is the #1 domain name registrar according to USA Today that is also ICANN accredited, meaning that they are verified and trustworthy when it comes to registering your website's domain name. Porkbun now offers a .art domain for any artists, which can enhance your visibility within the art community and industry. Having a .art domain also makes your site uniquely stand out from the rest. Another thing I'm trying to unlearn from art school is having these super long website names like michellelamb.art.website.com when having something like michellelamb.art rings a little nicer and makes it more memorable for people like recruiters and potential clients to remember who you are and what your expertise is. On top of that, Porkbun offers free Whois privacy, free SSL certificates, web and email hosting trials, and more, protecting you and visitors to your site for an affordable price. So if you want to make your art portfolio and website stand out even more, go to this link listed down in the description box below and use my code ARTMT to get your .art domain at Porkbun for a super low price. Thank you to the master of oinks, Porkbun, for sponsoring today's video. So ultimately, if you want to build a portfolio website for a 9-to-5 job versus the one that is more for your brand, I would definitely keep them separate. If you create a portfolio for a full-time job, usually people are more forgiving on the design of your website and prefer a more minimalistic approach. At the end of the day, people reviewing your page will just quickly scroll down in a matter of seconds, so it is best to make it as simple as possible. But if you want your own brand's website where people might give a little bit more of a about you than a recruiter and an employer, you may require to have more of a directory of the different things that you offer, all in a central hub, from your client work, products and services you sell, and a press kit where people can gather headshots or high quality photos of your work if they ever need it for promotions, for school talks, conventions, and interviews. Basically, I think that the way animation schools particularly teach students how to build portfolios kind of scared them off from feeling like they could have a portfolio or website where they can add all of these bits and bobs and make it feel like their own little world. So I wouldn't say that making a portfolio the way your art school taught you is bad, but it's more so unlearning the fact that it's the only way that you should build a portfolio. So the next thing I'm learning to unlearn from art school is that drawing anime is not bad. Let me tell you, I faced my biggest dilemma in high school when I read so many forum posts about why anime is shunned upon for aspiring art students, and even teachers from schools had to tell me to stop drawing it. But now let me tell you, I understand that versatility is necessary to thrive as an artist full time, but I don't think that means drawing anime should be banned entirely, which is the vibe I got from a lot of the adults back then. When I was interning at a studio, I saw a video of a guest speaker who was a very notable animator in the industry and pretty much bashed on Studio Ghibli style and talked about how it was so lifeless compared to Western animation. I felt like I had to listen to him because I wanted to make it in this industry, but contrary to what I heard, there were so many people pitching anime-inspired shows, straight up storyboarding Sakuga-style action scenes for more nuanced moments in emotional scenes. So I think what happened was I entered the professional art world during a transitional time that the generation before me was already getting into anime. So by the time they were the ones leading and directing shows, anime was more acceptable, and slowly over time, more and more projects would refer to Studio Ghibli or a lot of action animes for inspiration. So now I myself am learning to get back into drawing anime for my next upcoming graphic novel, which will heavily be inspired by 80s and 90s manga. So I feel like making Meesh the Bad Demon felt like half Western, half anime, but with this new book, I want to make it kind of scream anime. So speaking of books, have any of you noticed that pretty much every Barnes & Nobles has expanded their manga section? Malls and brick and mortar shops of anime merch have also been opening up everywhere. And if you look on Netflix, some of their top trending animated shows are anime, and oftentimes beating some of the American shows in ranking. So for anyone who has had doubts about anime thriving as an art style of choice for your career, you might want to get on with the times. And I think that it is good that art schools can maintain the integrity of the traditional ways art has been done and succeeded before, which again is good. But following how things have always been done before does not always equate to success. For example, in animation, you learn about how traditional films are done when it comes to cinematography, creating your own films from the beginning, middle, and end. However, times are changing. They will continue to change, and things that exist now, like short form content, AI, and the creator economy did not exist to this scale back then. And I don't blame anyone, not even my art teachers or school, because who could have known that the world would change in the ways that it does? You can't always predict the future, but the ability to pivot in this ever-changing landscape of this industry, you do have to let go of some of the things you learned in art school. It doesn't mean you no longer use the advice you learn at all. It means knowing when overthinking certain art rules or guidelines may not be beneficial for your career at certain moments. So for example, as a storyboard artist, screen direction, cutting on action, character poses, and timing, all of that are key things to being a good storyboard artist. However, when I'm not storyboarding, I'm also making comics and YouTube videos where sometimes I still try to incorporate all of these rules into forms of media that are not the same thing. I find screen direction helpful for comics, but then again, I've also read so many published comics by more veteran authors who don't even follow these rules and have gained all these awards for their books and now are living the life. So, you know, why should I follow these rules? When editing YouTube videos and reels, a lot of the cuts you make would be considered jarring in the film world and definitely do not always follow film rules. But why should they? Because they're a totally different form of media and is more so for entertainment than storytelling. Whether you choose to follow the rules you learned in art school for your more current day work is up to you, but I just found that overthinking it was holding me back from branching out to creating art for comics and social media. So these are just only 3 main things I've been unlearning for the time being, but I just felt particularly passionate about these topics because once a teacher points it out, it kind of stays in your brain as a voice that tries to speak to you whenever you're trying to break out of it. But again, it's always about knowing when is the right time and place to do these things. Last year, I made a video called The Biggest Art Career Mistakes, which kind of goes more into talking about the things that you would learn in art school but become outdated. So check that video out down in the links below if you want to learn more. And thank you again to Porkbun for sponsoring today's video. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one.